Portugal's parliament has approved a legislation which aims to prohibit face veils, specifically burqas and niqabs in public spaces. The bill, driven chiefly by the far-right Chega party of Portugal, now awaits action from Portugal's president, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, who holds the authority to enact, veto, or forward it for constitutional assessment. Should the proposed ban take effect, face coverings would be disallowed in most public areas, with exceptions granted for airplanes, diplomatic facilities, and places of worship. Individuals found violating the measure could face fines ranging from 200 euros to 4,000 euros. The proposal has drawn substantial criticism, with the opponents contending that it disproportionately affects Muslim women and raises significant questions regarding religious freedom and individual rights. Proponents, notably the Chega party of Portugal and its supporters, argue that such coverings contribute to social exclusion and undermine ideals of equality and human dignity. This line of reasoning aligns with arguments previously advanced in other European Union nations like France, Austria, Belgium, and the Netherlands, where similar bans are already in force. If implemented, Portugal would join this growing cohort of European nations enforcing restrictions on face coverings in public spaces. Joining us now on the broadcast are Dr. Kemal Yildirim, Professor of Law, Coimbra University from Portugal. Joining us live now from Turkey, we have Luca Bertolotti, Director, Government Affairs, B&K Agency, and expert on European governance and policy. Joining us live from Italy, we have Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Islamic scholar and Director General, Wisdom Foundation. Now joining us, thank you all of you for taking time out to be with us over here. Let me begin with Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali. The question here is this really a violation of religious freedom? Is, a niqab or a burqa essential to Islam?
Yeah, definitely. That's correct.
It's a question.
Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali.
The ban is not a complete ban. It is a ban on only the face covering. And you find that in many Muslim countries also, this ban has been effective. Now, because there are different forms in different ways, different manners in different places that such a law has been brought about. But the question here that I would like to raise is that keeping religion, the religious issue also becomes important, because there are some people who believe this. That the face covering is an essential, whereas others do not accept that kind of an interpretation. They say that the dress has to be one of modesty when you are covered fully, and it is, if the face is exposed, then there is nothing wrong with it. But the whole point becomes over here that I find is that somehow or the other there is a lot of invasion of privacy where the women are concerned, and this is a kind of a culture war that we seem to have entered into, which is very unnecessary, really. And at the same time, there is also, in a secular democracy, do you tell women how they should dress and what they should do and how they should wear and what they should eat and whom they should love? So these are the kind of questions that arise, and therefore it comes to this understanding that it is time for us as nations to understand that women are being made soft targets.
Okay.
Why should every such rule come down where it comes to women?
Luca Bertolotti,
and therefore, you find political opportunism.
Okay, Luca Bertolotti, Portugal is not the first country. Several other European nations have imposed similar bans, complete bans or partial bans. This seems to be a growing understanding amongst, European nations. And in that sense, Portugal has not done anything, out of the blue.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, first of all. And yes, Portugal didn't do anything out of the blue. The difference between this type of law and everything else that is in Europe right now, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Denmark, Norway, Switzerland, some regions in Italy as well, is that the other countries did with the excuse, let's say, of national security. So it's not only the burqa or the niqab that you cannot wear, is anything in public that cover your face. From a motorcycle, you cannot wear them. In Portugal, it's the first time, and I'm even interested to see what the European Court of Human Rights will decide. That basically just says that there is niqab and burqa. So the difference between the other countries and this is that the other countries prohibit any type of face covering. This is specific targeting Muslim women. So that's the difference between the two type um, of legislation, let's say.
Yeah, let me bring in Dr. Kemal Yildirim, Professor of Law at Coimbra University in Portugal, who joins us now live from Turkey. Dr. Kemal Yildirim, talk to us. There is a rationale behind, why country after country in Europe is doing it. There are national security issues, there are law and order issues which are kept in mind before imposing a ban on face veils.
Right. First, I want to correct, actually. I have pursued my postdoctorate in law and human rights at Coimbra University in Portugal. And I'm currently professor at European School of Law and Governance in Pristina in Kosovo. So about the ban of actually burqa, countries, as you have spelled out, the countries like France and Austria, Belgium, and the Netherlands that have partially or completely banned this, and the full face veil in Southern Europe, Portugal's parliament has recently approved, as I came to know this news just right now. So they approved a bill actually of full face coverings like the burqa and hijab in public spaces. And actually, that was also forbidden. I mean, wearing a scarf like for member of the parliament were actually banned to enter into the parliament house with the scarves, or the female students to go to the universities and so on. But it has changed. There are more liberal, of course, movements in Turkey too. So that's not only the Europeans' issue, but at the same time, in some Muslim countries also, we can notice that actually, the ban of a burqa or hijab. So what what I'm thinking about that, Portugal is actually well, in economic terms, it's the not poor, but the maybe the lowest economy in comparison with Germany or France or Holland. So they approximate actually a minimum wage is around 1,300 or 400 euro, while in Germany it's like 2,500 or more, or in France more, or in Scandinavian countries like Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, or Iceland is highly actually big amount, big salaries, but in Portugal it's a low salary, and most of the Portuguese people are going to Germany to work, or going to France, or going to UK. So what we actually know is the immigrants who are coming to Portugal are from Angola and Cape Verde and Sao Tome. And these are the Portuguese-speaking colonies. But we can't see that much Muslims actually coming from these countries like Angola, Cape Verde, or Sao Tome, or so on. So it refers usually the Arab immigrants who are going from Morocco or Algeria or Tunisia or Syria or Iraq. But actually, it's against the freedom of the people. I mean, clothing, I mean, veiling or whatever. no one objects them actually when they come to the seaside, to the beaches, when they swim, with their own swimsuits. Nobody's objecting. Even in Dubai, they're free. I mean, in Dubai, you can see. I met a lot of Sikh people, for example, they're using their kind of I don't know that what is that called actually. Man is actually maybe you can help me to spell it out, the name, the Sikh cap. I was very interested, and I asked actually whether you can give me as a gift and so on. So everybody is is in a freedom. It's although it's a Muslim country, it's a Sharia law based country, but everyone is practicing their own religion.
Okay.
And, yeah. So actually, the Portugal government just approved that, and that the bill banning your face veils covering worn by some Muslim women. But it's not yet approved actually, because the bill was proposed by the far right party, as you spelled out, that Chega party. So they received support also from the other center right, like a PSD party or CDSPP, and left-leaning makers. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and it's all now up to the president actually, Sousa, who has to now either veto it or forward it to the Constitutional Court for a further assessment. Let me bring in Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali into the discussion again. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, the question, the proponents for this argue that there are basic rules for interaction with the public in public spaces, and there's certain amounts of security that is required in public spaces to be able to assess who the person is, and with a face covering it becomes increasingly difficult, and that is the reason why you have this law becoming a reality in so many countries. Even before Portugal is starting to consider it, it's just about considering it right now. And I also say the fact that so many women get coerced into it as well. So this is a law that specifically states that no face covering for religion or gender.
Right.
I agree. As a matter of fact, I would like to go on to say that in Islam and in the most Islamic countries, the face is never hidden. Now you need a face on a passport. You need a face on an Aadhaar card in India. You need the face. So the question of a face covering does not arise. And over here it is said that it is only the face covering. So I think there is a lot of hue and cry, and there is a lot of misunderstanding over this kind of an issue, which today I believe and I think has become more of an identity crisis and a culture war. You see, more than anything else, and to expose the face and to say, and there are many reasons, and Muslim countries across, starting with I think in 1981 it was Tunisia, where in places like hospitals, in places like Parliament House, in public places, in public spaces, and in government spaces, the hijab was never used. And there are certain Muslim countries that have gone even further. There are certain Muslim countries that are giving options that what you want, but the face covering has become, it has become minimal, I believe. But as far as culture is concerned, one has to respect somebody else's culture. So this is something that I think, as other European countries have undergone this law, and Muslim countries have undergone this law, I don't see that there should be such a furor over the creation of, covering the face. The only argument that I have is that if a woman is very adamant that this is what she wants, leaving aside culture and everything else, this is what she wants to do, then do we have a right to tell her not to do so? So, it is a matter of freedom and the kind of freedom that one gives. But as far as the security issue is concerned, as far as, other issues are concerned, the entrance into certain spaces. Now, for example, even Portugal has made many exceptions, like on an air flight for religious reasons, for entering religious places. So these, once you consider these kind of issues, I don't see why there should be such a furor on this issue.
Okay, Luca Bertoletti, the question here is the norms for interactions. When you are an immigrant who's coming into a country, then you'll have to adhere to the norms of interaction, of the land. And in that sense, this is not intended at stigmatizing anything, but more about, better integration and cohesion within society is what the proponents would say.
I think
No,
you're
completely agree.
quite spot in line with that, because once you're immigrating somewhere. Is that question for me?
It's for Mr. Luca Bertoletti, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. I totally agree. This is, first of all, a law that helps or should help to integrate the immigrants into the society, especially a society which is mainly Catholic, like the Portuguese one. But also, what we have seen, especially in some countries, for example, France, that the reason why it was banned, I'm moving now from Portugal to something else, are the second generation or third generation immigrants that are actually obliging the women to wear burqa or full face covering. So it's not just a question of integration, but also a question to remain into that type of society and into the norm of a country. We have seen this in Netherlands, Belgium. Belgium is another good example, for example, where the second and third generation of immigrants are actually imposing the burqa to the women, and not really the people that came for the first time from Morocco or other Muslim country, or people that are currently coming into Belgium from Muslim country. So it's both trying to integrate women into the society, but also prevent them to be coerced into wearing a burqa, even if they don't want to.
Dr. Kemal Yildirim, and that, in a sense, in a nutshell, is what all the laws across these countries, Austria, France, Belgium and the Netherlands, is all trying to do, essentially, a better integration, especially when immigration, has been increasing and increasing. It becomes all the more important. The European nations have no other choice but to be more vigilant. Even as they are under pressure to accept more and more immigrants, that there is, better cohesion in society.
That's correct, right. Especially those who are coming from Central Asian republics and the neighboring Arab countries and Africa. Usually they intend to immigrate to Europe through the border, Greece border or Bulgarian border. And we have around 5 million, as far as I know, refugees from Syria. Probably some of them went back, but they still continue to live in Turkey because of the political recession. But meanwhile, we have like 1 million refugees, or let's say immigrants from Iran or from other Central Asian countries, altogether 5, maybe more. So they all intend to go to Europe. And I know actually most of the people who flee from here, like from Nepal or from Iraq or from Syria or Somalia or Chad or Ethiopia and etc. and so on. Those who manage to go there actually are not that much happy. They want to come back actually because of the low payments, like when you compare with other European countries. That's another issue, actually. You see, those refugees are seeking better life in terms of economy. But the burqa or the other, actually, preventions that has been brought by the governments, like in France, they have to obey the rules or otherwise they will not be naturalized. So their citizenship might even be cancelled. And actually, there is a more restriction in America also, actually. Lots of Koreans were in news actually were sent back, and whether this can happen in Europe, yes or no, I will say definitely no, because they need manpower. They need cheap manpower. You see, even Turkey, actually, when I was a small child, when I saw this foreigner, a tourist, I was just surprised looking at him. But now it's full of foreigners. We are used to the cultural integration in the world has shaped the world in a different dilemma. Now we are using AI, artificial intelligence, which can answer all of your questions. But even if you ask, I don't know, I'm not sure, and didn't ask yet, to the artificial intelligence actually, well, what do you think about this human rights violation? it will stand against, because this is against the beliefs, whether you are Muslim or Hindu or Sikh or Buddhist, Confucius, or whoever you are, or in terms of the political ideologies. We should respect the people. I mean, clothing is nothing. You have to respect to the mind of the people. I mean, we all are created by one God. And God said it in Quran, actually. We could have created you into different groups if you wanted. And in the same group, actually, in one group, actually. But we have created you in a different groups to get to know you, to get to know each other's. So we have to try to understand each other. I understand,
Okay.
but this is coming from right-wing parties. Actually, most of the social democratic parties or socialist parties, they are also against the ban of the burqa.
Yeah, Dr. Zinat Shaukat Ali, yes, it's coming from a right-wing party, but we've seen the rise of the right across European nations. That point of view, that ideology gaining more and more traction. You've seen the rise of the right in Spain, in Germany, and you've seen that in Portugal as well, in France as well. Marine Le Pen. In that sense, there is greater, hearing for this point of view at this stage, simply because of what I was talking about, the higher levels of immigration in the recent years, specifically speaking. And, a law like this has certain, built-in exceptions, like, religious places, in other public places where there's certain legitimate exceptions being allowed. So, in that sense, this law cannot be looked at as something that's completely draconian.
Exactly right.
I agree with you.
Dr. Zinat Shaukat Ali.
Migration itself means that, when a migrant is entering somebody else's country, you have to respect the laws of that country.
Yeah.
If you wish to live there, then you have to respect it or not go to that country at all. So I think that this entire imposition that comes in, you see that this is the only way that we want to go about doing things, is not what Islam has ever taught. Islam is always taught you the middle path. It has taught you to be modest. Now, for example, I'll tell you, when there are foreigners, who are used to wearing slightly short dresses and, open shoulders, when they go to Saudi Arabia, they dress in a particular fashion, because it is the law of that country that this is the way you cover yourself to this extent. You don't have to wear a burqa or an abaya, but you don't expose your legs to that extent, and it is done. It is done with good pleasure, and it is done in good faith. So, and that law is followed. It is followed out of respect, for the nation and what the nation feels. So similarly, when you go to someone else's country, which does not adhere to these kind of norms, and does not understand and does not believe in them, then you must learn to respect it. After all, showing of the face, they're not talking about anything else. They're only talking about the face. And in Muslim countries across, Kazakhstan has completely banned the hijab. And there are several other countries across, Muslim countries. There are only two countries, I think, which hold the hijab mandatory. One is Iran and the other is Afghanistan, to the best of my knowledge. So, but every other country has given flexibility. So that flexibility has to exist. And that is what life is all about, that you respect others, and others will learn to respect you also. So when they say that, when you are going to someone's country, then you learn to adhere to those laws. After all, showing the face is not a criminal offense. You do it, as I said, all the time. It's on your passport, it's on your card. There are certain credit cards or whatever you may use, which demand that your photograph, the face is seen very clearly, so that to avoid many other problems of security, etc., that arise. So I don't think that this kind of an issue should take over, and right wing or left wing, that's another debate altogether. What the right wing demands and what are its ideals and views as against the others. That is a separate debate. But over here, where women are concerned, I have this that there's nothing wrong in showing the face, and if that country wants it and you wish to go to that country, then you must respect that law or not go to that country at all.
Right, I'll take one last comment from Mr. Luca Bertoletti. Mr. Luca Bertoletti, right now it rests with the president of Portugal, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, and if he vetoes it, if he lets the bill go ahead, and that will set a strong precedent for the rest of Europe again.
I don't think, well, in my knowledge, the president of Portugal never approved the law coming from Chega, so I'm quite positive that there will be a veto, then there will be a new debate, then we will have a new vote, and it will take some time before actually get into force. And I don't think it will set a precedent. I think the will is already in motion. For sure, will be a new beginning of this will. In Italy, there is a discussion over the full ban of face covering, etc. I think what will be very interesting, more than actually seeing what the president will do, is what the European Court of Human Rights will decide, because this is the first time that this type of bill is on just for women and on religious purposes. So it's face covering just for on women and for religions, not in general. All of the other countries that ban the face covering did it for security reasons. So you cannot, even if you are male, you cannot wear a helmet or anything that cover your face in public. In this case, it's just targeting a specific group. So it will be very interesting to see the reaction of the Human Court of Human Rights, and that will set probably the precedent for other European countries.
Fair enough. We will leave it at that. Dr. Kemal Yildirim, Professor of Law and Professor of Human Rights, joining us live from Turkey. Thank you for being with us. Luca Bertoletti, Director, Government Affairs, BNK Agency, and expert on European governance and policy, joining us live from Italy. Thank you for being with us. And Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Islamic scholar and Director General, Wisdom Foundation. Thank you for taking time out to be with us here on the broadcast.